Okay, class, we're about to start the review for the competency test for decimals. It says, remember that no calculators will be allowed. You will be required to show work on all problems in order to get credit. It says use less than or greater than to make a true sentence. Now we had 35.2 compared to 35.056. Now the first thing we always do is look in front of the decimal. Now, since these are both positive numbers, we look in front of the decimal. Everything in front of the decimal is the same. So we can't tell whether one is less than or greater to. So now we look at the first digit behind the decimal. We have 2 here. We have 0 here. We know 2 is larger than 0. So remember, our inequality points to the smaller number. Now we go down here to the second one. We look here and we notice that both of these are negative. Now, what we do is this: whichever one of these is closest to 0 is the one that's the greater value. So we look here in front of the decimal. Both is 0, so there's the same. And then here, the first digit behind the decimal is 0 here, and the first digit behind the decimal is 1 here. Now, we know on a number line, 1 is greater than 0. But because both of these are negative, we know that this is actually less. So your answer is less than. Okay, now we go here. It says write the word name for 0.403. Actually, let me correct this. B, this actually means greater than. Negative 0.072 is greater than negative 0.12. Okay, now it says write the word name for 0.403. So what we would do is this here: since we have no number in front of the decimal, we just write out the word name for the numbers behind the decimal. We know that this is 403. And then we look at the place value. This is tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So it's 403 thousandths with a THS. So that is your final answer, 403 thousandths. Now we go down here to problem 3. It says write the decimal number for 123,000. So we know we have 100. The word and means decimal. Now we want to have 23 thousandths. So we know that the 3 must be in the thousands place. So the 2 would be in the hundreds and the 0 would be in the tenths. So this is 123 thousandths. Now we have B, 123 thousandths. Now this looks like, okay, now what's different about A and B is you notice there's an and here, but there's no and here. So that means that this is all together, and because this ends with THS, this means that all of this is behind the decimal. So we'll put a 0 in front of the decimal. So we want to write 123 thousandths. Now we know if we write 123, that 3 will be in the thousands place. So this is it, 0.123. And above here we had 100.023. Okay, now number 4, it says round 614.28315 to the nearest. Okay, first we're going to look at tenth. Okay, so now we first locate the tenths place, which happens to be this 2, and we look directly to the right of it. If that digit is 5 or more, we know we round the 2 up 1. If it's 4 or less, that means we leave the 2 the same. But in each case, we would drop everything behind this 2. So we look directly to this 2. To the right of it is 8. So that's 5 to 9. And we would add 1 to this 2. So it'll be 614.3. So that'll be your answer for tenths. Now we go here, it says tens. Now we know the tens place is in front of the decimal. This 1 is in the tens place. So we look directly to the right of this 1, which is 4, and we know that falls in between the 0 through 4. So that means this 1 stays the same. But remember, in front of the decimal, you know everything behind this place value becomes 0. And then you have to get rid of everything behind the decimal. So to the tens place, this will give you 610. Now I drew these lines here to separate the answers. Okay, now finally, we add 10 thousandths. Now we go behind the decimal. We add tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. Now the 1 is in the 10,000s place, so we look to the right of that 1, which is a 5. So then that means that we will add 1 to this 1. So it'll be 614.2832. And that will be the final answer for number 4. Now we come to number 5. It says write as a decimal, do not round. So now we will have to take 8 into 3 point. I just put 2 zeros here. 8 goes into 3 0 times. 8 goes into 30 3 times. 30 minus 24 is 6. Bring down your 0. 8 goes into 60 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. 60 minus 56 gives us 4. We will add a 0 here. 8 goes into 40 exactly 5 times. So now we have no remainder. So our final answer here will be 0.375. Okay, now we go here to B. We would take 9 into 4. We'll put I'll put a few zeros here. 9 goes into 4 0 times. 9 goes into 40 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36. Now 40 minus 36 is 4. We'll bring down our 0. Now 9 goes into 44 times. You notice this is going to keep repeating here. So this is what we would do. Since we know it's going to keep repeating, we'll write it as a repeating decimal. It'll be 0.4 and then repeating decimal, the line over the 4 to let you know that all the rest of your answers are going to be 4. And that's the final answer to B. Now we go over here to 6A. It says add. We have 1.856 plus 78. Now I told you before, when you all stack this, especially with addition, always stack the one that has the most digits in front of the decimal on the top. So it'll be 78, and we know it has a decimal behind it. And then we have 1.856, and then we add them. We'll put zeros here. So this would be 6, 5, 8. Bring down our decimal. 8 plus 1 is 9. And bring down our 7. So this is our final answer for A. Now we go to B. Now we got 319.8. We have, I will write this 29.54 next. And then we have 0.69. Now 0 plus 4 is 4, plus 9 is 13. Carry a 1. 1 and 8 is 9, plus 5 is 14, plus 6 is 20. So you bring down your 0, bring your decimal, carry your 2. 2 and 9 is 11, plus 9 is 20, plus 0 is 20. Bring down your 0, carry your 2. 2 and 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. And then bring down our 3. So it's be 350.03. Now we scroll down here to 7A. We have 50 minus 5.7. So you take 50 minus 5.7. We put our decimal here and 0 here. We know we cannot subtract 7 from 0. So we have to go all the way over here to the 5 because we can't borrow from a 0. So this would be 4. We know this 0 would become 10, but we have to borrow 1 from that, which would make it 9. And then this 0 would be 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. Bring down your decimal. 9 minus 5 is 4. And then you'll bring down this 4. So it'll be 44.3. Now we go here to B. We have 7.103 minus 0.638. Now we know we cannot subtract 8 from 3, and we can't borrow from this 0. So we'll borrow 1 from this 1, which will make it a 0. This 0 becomes 10, but we have to borrow 1 from that to make it 9. And this 3 becomes a 2. Actually this 3 becomes 13, not 2. Okay, 13 minus 8 is 5. Now we have 9 minus 3, which is 6. And then we cannot subtract 6 from 0. So we'll borrow 1 from this 7, which will make it 6. And the 0 become 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. Bring down our decimal. 6 minus 0 is 6. So it would be 6.465. Now we go here to A, B, and C. Now we multiply. Now, as you all recall, I told you I'm going to use this box down here. Well, actually, I could use this box. Let's look at A. I told you all to drop the decimals, and we'll just write these numbers as if they're regular numbers. So we know 9 times 2 is 18, right? Now we look here behind the decimal. We look at how many digits we have behind the decimal. We have 4 digits here. So our final answer must have 4 digits behind the decimal. We only had 2 digits here. So we would add 2 zeros in front of it, and then we would end up with 0.0018. Because remember, we must have 4 digits behind the decimal. Now we take B here. We take 133 times the negative 1, which we know will be a negative 133. Now we count how many digits we have behind the decimal. We have 2. So it'll be a negative 1.33. Now we go down here to C. We drop the decimal. We have 763 times 21. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 7 is 7. Add a 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry a 1. 2 times 7 is 14. Plus 1 is 15. So we add 3. This will be 12. Carry our 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. Carry our 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. And we'll bring down this 1 here. Now if we look here, we had 3 digits behind the decimal. So our final answer must have 3 digits behind the decimal. So it'd be 16.023. Okay, now we come here to problem number 9. Now it tells us to divide. Now if you notice here, we have these decimals. So we'll take 1.2 into 54.6. Now we have to get rid of this decimal on the outside of the division bar, and we would do that by moving that one place to the right here, and however many places we move out here, we must move it in here. So it'll be 12 into 546. Now I'm going to put a decimal 0. We may not need it, but let's go 12 into 54 goes 4 times. So 54 minus 48 is 6. We'll bring down our 6. 12 goes into 66 5 times. 5 times 12 is 60. 66 minus 60 is 6. Then we'll bring down this 0. 12 goes into 60 5 times. Bring up this decimal. 5 times 12 is 60. And we have no remainder. So our final answer here is 45.5. Now we go here to B. Now same thing. We'll take 0.02. Now we could drop the negative sign because we know our final answer is going to be negative, because a negative divided by a positive is negative. So we just have to remember that our final answer is negative. Now we have to move this decimal 2 places to the right here and 2 places to the right here. Now just for clarity, we could put the negative sign here equals negative. So this would give us 2 into, this would give us 170. Now we know 2 goes evenly into 170, so we don't have to put a decimal here. 2 goes into 17 8 times. 8 times 2 is 16. 17 minus 16 is 1. Bring down your 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10, and we add 0. So our final answer here would be a negative 85. Okay, now we scroll down here to number 10. It says perform each calculation. Now, this is the part where you would get partial credit for some of your answers. So we have to set this up correctly. Now we look at the operations. We have subtraction, multiplication. We can't do anything with this parenthesis, so we don't count this as an operation. And this is the exponent. So we know we'll do the exponent first. 0.3 to the second power is the same as saying 3 times 3, which is 9. And we know we will have 2 digits behind the decimal because 0.3 and 0.3. So this will give us 0.09. So we have 4 minus